Good morning. Good morning. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and this is Success Mentorship class number 228. Wow. And our topic for today is how to update your goals. How to update your goals. You know, our topics today, as in all of our success mentorship classes, our topic today is based on our book, The 12 Universal Laws of Success, and on our home study course. The point about this, this interesting experience that we have in being at the midpoint of the year is that we have things that we can do right now to change the outcome of this year. And so that's what this class is about today. What do you have to do now to transform this year into the year you want it to be? You know, at the beginning of the year, we all set goals, and we'll talk about that. But now we're at the midpoint of the year, and it's time to look at where we are, and if necessary, take corrective action. Before we get started, let us do our meditation. Sit quietly, put your feet flat on the floor. Close your outer eyes and open your inner eyes. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. And in this state of peace and relaxation, affirm, I am at peace with myself. Together. I am at peace with myself. Once more. I am at peace with myself. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. And in this state of peace and relaxation, my mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Let us affirm that together. My mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Let that sink in. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. All right, folks, thanks so much for joining us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on our Zoom program. You know, as we were sharing, this particular message is a lot geared to our home study course. You know, when we get to the midpoint of the year, we assess what must be done to take us where we want to be at the end point of the year. And one of the reasons that we did the home study course was to help you do what you needed to do at the beginning of the year to get where you want to go at the end of the year. But it is just as powerful. It's even more powerful using it at the middle of the year, because now your learning curve is cut in half. Your action curve is cut in half. So these next 6 months are critical for you to achieve the things you want to do, to be, and to have this year. So be sure to go to our website, www.herbertharris.info. www.herbertharris.info, and you can click on the home study course, and it'll tell you all about our 4-part home study course. I love to open with a quote from Tony Robbins, and Tony says, setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. And that's a powerful statement, folks, because that's like having a GPS. You know, we all have GPSs on our phones and the cars, And the essence of a GPS is to help you get where you want to go. But for the GPS to function, it requires two things. It requires a destination and it requires a location. Similarly, if we want to get where we say we want to be at the end of this year, then we have to know where we are and where we want to go. So this is really a journey. This life is a journey, and it's often broken up into years. If we really look at it, when we talk about it from an operational point of view, life is broken up into moments, because seconds become minutes, become hours, become days, become weeks, become months, become years. And the only time that we have absolute control over is the present, the now. We always talk about the two times that are so critical to all of us, the now and the next. So it's about, what are we doing right now on our journey to make this year our year for outrageous success? And can we do better? I want to look at 4 concepts that will help us update our goals and put us on track to accomplish the things we want to do this year. Number 1, assess. We got to know where you are. Number 2, address. You have to fix whatever needs to be fixed. Albert Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So whatever the results of your assessment, this is what I need to do to improve my performance this year, then you have to address that. Then step 3 is the progress. That once you've assessed, once you've addressed, you got to get going. The rubber hits the road. You have to take action. And number 4 is manifest. That based on your assessment, your addressing, your progress, your actions, that you manifest in your life that which is congruent with what you're doing, with what you're thinking, with what you're feeling. And so the manifestation, the life that you're experiencing in from moment to moment, is proof positive of your thoughts and of your emotions and of your actions and of your relationships. So the manifestation gives you the ability to constantly monitor what's going on so that you can improve it, so that you can fix it. So let's look at success. There's a beautiful statement in the book, and it says that success is a continuous realization of your worthwhile purpose. That's a critical thought, folks. Success, that's on page 14. Success is the continuous realization of the outcomes or results you desire. And on a bigger level, success is the continuous realization of your worthwhile purpose. And so if it's a continuous realization, then that means that you're always doing something. We live on the river of time, and if we don't do something affirmatively to make our lives the way we want it to be, the river will take care of us and take us wherever it wants us to go. So the question right now at the midpoint of the year is, how am I doing? And how can I do better? How am I doing? And how can I do better? I like to think of, there's a Bible passage in the 16th chapter of the book of Acts, and it talks about Paul and Silas, 2 of the disciples, the spiritual teachers, the proponents of the gospel, and says Paul and Silas had made the authorities unhappy and they were in prison, and they were put in a prison inside a prison. And that while in this prison, they prayed at midnight and rejoiced, and the earthquake came and opened the doors and flung them out of the prison. The story goes on with different metaphysical implications. But the thought is this, that sometimes in our lives, earthquakes get our attention. So we're coming out of a period of pandemic right now. And this pandemic has transformed the entire world. There's a labor shortage, so-called. Think about this, okay? there's a labor shortage. There are more people now than there were a year ago. Why is there a labor shortage? Because people have had a chance to look inside their minds. In this period of enforced isolation, many people have looked at their lives and said, wow, is this all there is? There's got to be more. And so they're not racing to jump into a job that they hated in the first place. They're looking and saying, there's got to be more to life. So when we think about this idea of updating our goals for this year, we may be in a prison. You know, we create a prison by our own thinking. We don't have to wait for an earthquake to open the door. We have the power to open the door of the prison that holds us in our thinking, in our actions, in our emotions, in our relationships. So at the end of this first half of the year, where do we find ourselves? How are we doing? We might be in the prison of complacency. In other words, we've gotten to this point in the year and we say, you know what, I've done okay. You know, it's almost like, let me make do. Let me just survive. I've done okay to this point, and I'm just going to hang in there and have more of the same. It's almost, many of us have gotten in a comfort zone. And in that comfort zone, we don't do any more than we were doing before. If we stay in the comfort zone that we're in right now, then at the end of the year, guess what? We'll be, yeah, as a matter of fact, we won't be where we are right now because time moves on, the year moves on. I was consulting with a friend who was a politician, and I guess a year or so ago, I told him, don't run. I said, wait until the cycle comes back next year. The last time you ran for this particular office, you only lost by a few votes. Spend the next 2 years putting your foundation together, putting your team together, so that when the next election comes, you can win. Nobody knew about the Supreme Court decision, the gun right, all of these things that have been happening, that have been mobilizing people in different perspectives in the country. And if there was a time that he could win, it was now. But he put himself out of the vibration and did not choose to run now because he burned himself out. So many of us can find ourselves in this state of complacency where we've gotten to this point, say, you know, I'm not going to run again. I'm not going to do anything again because of limited thinking. We might be in the prison of mistaken assumptions. You know, many of us live a life based on somebody else's expectations for who we are, who we should be, what we should do, who we should become. So that prison of mistaken assumptions can be a profound prison that keeps us locked in for the rest of the year, and if we don't change it, for the rest of our lives. We can even have a prison of mistaken assumptions, not based on other people's expectations, but based on our own expectations. We may have low expectations for ourselves based on past failures, past disappointments. And so if we have low expectations for ourselves, guess what? Those are mistaken assumptions because we were created to prosper and to be wealthy and to be happy and to be healthy. We may be bound up in the prison of wasted time. See, the river of life is always moving. We can either use that movement to further our progress to where we want to go into our purpose and destiny, or we can be the victim of that movement going wherever the river of time takes us. The prison of wasted time is a serious place because time is that one asset that is irreplaceable and irrepeatable. So that's like a big context of the prisons we may be in right now at the midpoint of the year that we have to get out of, that we have to come out of. There's also the prison of negative thinking. Wherever we are right now, when we assess our situation, our thoughts have taken us here. Our thoughts are the blueprint for our reality. It may be the prison of negative emotions. Maybe we have been responding so much to past fears, past disappointments, that we have not had a chance to see the possibilities that lie right in front of us. Maybe we've been in the prison of bad habits, disorganization, procrastination, lack of focus, lack of discipline. These are all habits. These habits may be imprisoning us and keeping us from flying to our destiny. We may be in the prison of bad relationships. So the point is, at this midpoint of the year, is what do we have to do to create our own earthquake, to create that new dynamic that can help us get where we want to be at the end of this year. That's why I referred back to our home study course when we talked about the new you for the new year. Chapter 2 in the home study course is about addressing your performance to date so that you can make the changes necessary to get the results you desire. So what is the key? As we're at this point at this year right now, the question is, what were my goals for this year? You know, every goal book tells you to write your goals and read them over 3 or 4 times a day. If you're not doing that, I can pretty much guarantee that when I ask you the question, what were my goals for this year? There's a good chance you can't even find them. Maybe you wrote them down at the first part of the year in January, maybe December last year, you wrote, this is what I want to accomplish next year, and you wrote it down. But if you have not been reading it over 2, 3, 4 times a day, you probably cannot find it. And if you can't find them, guess what? You haven't been able to work on them. Now, I'll give you the other extreme. Maybe you didn't even write any goals down for the first of the year. But the fact that you're on this broadcast, the fact that you're up at 8 o'clock this morning means that you have questions. You would not be here listening to me today if there were not some questions in your mind, like, can I do better? Is there more to life? Can I have more? Can I be more? Why am I not where I want to be? Why am I experiencing unhappiness? So the fact that you're here means that you're saying, hey, I got to do better. So what were my goals for this year? If you didn't have any, we know the problem. Write them down. We're going to get to that. If you had some, then the whole assessment process is, okay, you wrote your goals, you've been reviewing them. Well, let's look at your performance to date. How have you done this first half of the year? Well, if you have not been doing it the way that you should have been doing it, you're going to probably be a little disappointed in your performance. But that's important, because once you assess your performance to date, you can say, okay, you know what? I need to put in more time. I need to put in more energy. I need to put in more money. I need to get help. In other words, when you look at how you've done to date, you can make adjustments. In business, people do it all the time. This is what, you have your quarterly review of your business. You have your monthly review, your weekly review. In sales, we normally had a weekly review, a daily accountability session. Because one of the things we know in sales is if you accomplish your daily goals, the weeks are taken care of. If you accomplish your daily goals, the months are taken care of. If you accomplish your daily goals, the year is taken care of. And so at this point, at the midpoint of the year, when you look at your performance, you say, okay, what do I need to do now to improve my performance? In this home study course, we put a lot of time into that. How can I improve my performance? And see, this is This is business, folks. You're in the business of living. Write down the things that you can do to improve your performance. Maybe you need to be on time better. Maybe you need to overcome some fears you have. Maybe you need to think more positively. Sometimes you live a life based on your fears instead of your dreams. Well, all that can be dealt with. But the point is, at this midpoint of the year, you want to assess and address where you are. What were my goals? Am I happy with my performance? What can I do to improve my performance? What can I do to change the outcomes that I expect this year? And very important, what will happen if I don't improve my performance? In other words, when you look at where you are right now, and you look at your level of activity, if you continue this activity for another 6 months, are you going to be happy with where you are? If not, you got to change. Which takes us to the next point. Your goals are like the blueprint for your reality. And so at this point in the mid-year, to go back and revisit your goals. We go over it. Your goals must be smart. They must be specific. Thanks so much, Rodney. Thank you. Living in my dreams. Thank you. Live your dreams, not your fears. Thank you so much, Rodney. Your goals must be smart. They must be specific. Everybody wants to be happy. Happy is not a goal. What are the specifics of the happy that you want to be? Your goals must be measurable. Once again, happiness is not measurable. What does it mean to be happy? Maybe it means that I have food on my table. Maybe it means that I'm free of financial need. Maybe it means that the people around me love me and uplift me. Maybe it means that my environment is a certain kind of way. In other words, your goals must be measurable. Otherwise, how do you know how close you are or how far you are away? Your goals must be set in advance. There's a beautiful quote, and it says that a goal without a timeline is just a wish. So you have to set the goal in advance. It's like your GPS. You have to put in the destination so that it can function. Without a destination, it doesn't work. Your goals must be realistic. Now, nothing is impossible, but it must be realistic based on where you are right now. Steve Harvey was saying one day, how do you become a millionaire? People say, oh, I want to be a millionaire. He said, well, learn how to make $10. Something very simple. Then learn how to make $10 10 times. That gives you $100. Then learn how to make $100 10 times. That gives you $1,000. Then learn how to make $1,000 10 times. That gives you $10,000. Then learn how to make $10,000 10 times. That gives you $1 million. Then learn how to make $100,000 10 times. That gives you $1 million. So the point is that realistic based on where you are, because you grow as you go. I like that. You grow as you go. If you keep going, you keep growing. If you keep growing, you'll keep going. And then finally, it must cover a certain time period. The reason we chose this topic today is because the year seems to be like a kind of an external time period. We live our lives based on years. We count our years, we're 50, 60, 70 years old. And so looking at a year, if you can look at your 1 year accomplishments, it can give you a projection of where you'll be in your life. So when we're looking now at the 6 month point of the year, what do we have to do to change our lives so that at the end of this year, we will have the things we want to have? And so it comes down to this. What new thoughts must you have? Now, once you've written your goals, okay. Once you've written your goals and written them down, and folks, if you don't write them short, concise, specific statements, chances are you can't accomplish it. So, goal, I want to buy a house, specific. I want to buy a house in 2 years, measurable, set in advance. But once you've written your goals that conform to the SMART requirement, Then now, the point is to what thoughts do you have to change in your thinking or create in your thinking that support the goals that you've written down? If you don't write them, they will not happen. The Bible says, write the vision, make it plain. It will surely come to pass. Spiritual law. So when we look at our goals, and we look at the goal areas, and that when we go into our home study course, we talk about the goals in the 6 different areas: your personal goals, your family goals, your professional goals, your financial goals, your spiritual goals, your community goals, to really take the time right now and assess your goals in each one of these areas and write them down. And so once you've done that, then the idea is, what thoughts must you have to support the manifestation of those goals? So it may be a thought of abundance, okay? A thought of positivity, that everything is possible. A thought of upliftment, we have thoughts that idea the glass is half full is a powerful thought, because that's anticipating now that more is coming. That thought of the glass is half empty anticipates the thought that nothing is going to be there. Sooner or later, there's going to be nothing. So what thoughts must you have to support the new goals that you've written for yourself? Number 2, what emotions must you change or must you develop to support those goals? It's always about the goals of the blueprint. I want to drum this home. The goals of the blueprint. If you attempt to build a skyscraper without a blueprint, it's going to, trust me, you would not want to go into that skyscraper. So similar, you got to set the goals, because that becomes your blueprint. And then once you have that, you can now have thoughts that conform to supporting those goals. Develop emotions that I can do it. Eliminate emotions of jealousy, eliminate emotions of fear. Eliminate emotions of criticism. So what emotions do you have to develop that are congruent with and will produce the outcomes you desire, your goals? What habits must you change? If there's one thing that's critical, the habits, your habits make you. In the beginning, you create the habit, but in the end, the habit creates you. And so if you have a habit of disorganization, the higher you go up the success ladder, the more critical disorganization is going to become. You notice that once people start having success, they go out and get coaches. They go out and hire consultants, because they realize that the higher you go up that success ladder, the less room there is for margin, there's less margin of error. And so now you have to really develop those habits, because the habits are the foundation on which the actions take place. If you have great plans, effective actions, but bad habits, your habits can undermine the effectiveness of your actions. And then what relationships must you foster? Must you seek? And must you run from? There's some relationships you got to run from. If people don't love you, if people don't uplift you, if people criticize you, run. Sometimes it might be family. Sometimes it might be spouse. Sometimes it might be somebody really close to you. Maybe you can't run out the door, but you can sure limit their access to your mind. Limit their access to your feelings. So when we can do these things, we can update our goals by revisiting our why, being very clear about where we want to be at the end of this year. We can stop being complacent. Don't accept where we are and know where we can be. Stop working on erroneous assumptions, other people's desires, even your own low expectations for yourself. Stop wasting time, knowing that time is your most valuable asset. Assess where you are right now, address the things that need to be changed, and then progress. Commit to doing it. Write an action plan. Get busy. This book, the Bible, everything I'm telling you that you need to do today is in the book and in the home study course. Many times you'll have a book sitting on your shelf for months and months, and even years. But in that time of need, when you say, you know what, I need to know. I need to go. Pick it up. Work with it. Manifest. What this is really saying is from day to day, number one, you commit to get better and better. Number two, you evaluate your results and the performance that you do each day. You see, if you can monitor the results you get each day, and how do you monitor that? You look at the manifestation of that day. What were the results that you obtained that day? Not the ones that you wanted, but what were the results you obtained that day? And then act accordingly. You have to have that daily method of operation now based on your updated goals, where you get up at the end of the morning, you get up, number one, where you write out your plan, your goals, and the things to be done the night before. Number two, where you get up and you say, today I go forth with a winning attitude. Today I go forth with a success attitude. Today I accomplish everything I've written on my list. And at the end of each day, to be able to say, today, I did everything I could with what I had to do it with to make tomorrow the way I want it to be. When you can do that, then you can make this year, your year, the outrageous success. You can't change the beginning, but you can always change the ending so that you can be whatever you want to be, so that you can do whatever you want to do, so that you can have whatever you desire, always knowing that the best is yet to come. So thank you so much for being with us today. This is your day to be alive, your day to create success. Be sure, those of you who are watching and those who will be watching, please like the broadcast on Instagram and on Facebook. Please write some comments. I'd love to share your stories. You know, people often look at social media. It's so important that you write your comments and write the things that are happening to you and the insight that you've gotten, because you never know when it's going to help somebody. Be sure to get your copy of the 12 Universal Laws of Success and the home study course. Go to our website, herbertharris.info, www.herbertharris.info. Get your copy of the home study course, because that gives you the recipe book, the recipe plan, the step-by-step instructions to take you from where you are to where you want to be at the end of this year. Thank you so much, Toshika. She said that was timely. Thank you. She said she enjoyed this. Thank you, Rodney, for your positive comments. Thank you, Sade, for the greatness you've existed and demonstrated in our program. Thank each and every one of you for being on Instagram and on live on Facebook. And be sure to share this broadcast with at least 3 other people. Write your comments. And always remember that the best is yet to come. And so it is. Those of you on Zoom, please hang on for our after discussion.